Morning legends, Sunday morning, the biggest week of training I've had in a long time. I think it was about 11-ish hours. Feeling really good, slowly getting there, but it's been a long road over the last 6 months, and I think the number one thing that has really improved and got me back to being a regular fitness athlete recently is mobility, because my mobility was absolutely fucked. You see, modern day living is predominantly sitting, and sitting has basically been the culprit of all of my issues. You know, my hips were so cooked, and I spend so much time in the car, which I kind of start to really resent after a while. I just hate being in the car, but spending so much time in the car tightened up my hips so much that running actually was just horrible, and eventually I picked up a really horrible hip injury, and thankfully I'm on the other side of it, and I have mobility to thank for that. So what we're going to do today is break down how mobile you have to be for running, what kinds of things you can do to improve every single different kind of mobility impairment, and yeah, that's about it. Now, running essentially has two main principles that you're trying to modify with your training, okay? The first one is having the strength to be able to apply the right mechanics, okay, to run fast. And the second one is to have the mobility required to produce efficient mechanics. And unfortunately, most people just don't have efficient mechanics. Now, unfortunately, most people never get those mechanics because they never work on their issues, you know? Realistically, as a runner and as a wanting to be faster than ever runner, you should be working on every single type of dysfunction or limiting factor to your running to get better, and that includes mobility. So let's break down everything involved in being a fast runner. There is actually also a secret third thing that improves your running speed, and that is having a good running hat. Have a look at this running hat. Welcome 10 at checkout for 10% off. That is as much as a Ben Parks training program. I don't fucking know. These are great shoes, by the way. They're just unbelievable shoes. The first thing that we're gonna look at is the hips themselves, okay? It's all about having enough flexion, having enough extension, and having enough internal and external rotation. We're gonna start with extension, because extension is what makes you run really fast. Look at the most elite of elite athletes in the world, and look how much extension they utilize during their running. It's absolutely incredible. Now, lying on our front, we should be able to get to at least 10 degrees of hip extension without back arch, okay? Now, most elite athletes can get right into this 20-degree range, which is right here, which is absolutely insane. I can thankfully get there now because I've been doing mobility every day for the last 6 months, okay? So have that check, 10 degrees, it's probably about there. Now, if you don't have that much extension mobility, then this is what you can start to do. We can start to add in some lunge progressions, okay? This is the progression number one. We're gonna go to 10 degrees and then just start to add a little bit more in. Hold that for 10 seconds, okay? Once you can utilize that pretty well, we can start to take the knee off the ground, make it a little bit more active, and really start to push into extension on this leg. Now, the good thing about this exercise is that it's the complete opposite of sitting at a desk and doing Excel spreadsheets, okay? This is gonna help to open your hips up, get them to be nice and flexible and strong and mobile, because that is what's gonna get you that extra bit of top end speed. Okay, the next thing is hip flexion, okay? So how much can you flex your hip up to your chest? Amazing elite athletes will probably be able to get within a fist of their chest. Right now, I'm about a fist and 2 fingers, okay? And then on this side, wow, that's actually better. See, I'm a full fist here, a fist and 2. So I got something to work on with this leg. And thankfully, this one is pretty easy to fix. All we're gonna do is just to add in some overpressure with our arms just to get ourselves a little bit further. You know, this is as much a hip issue as it is a glute and a hamstring issue too. So the other things that we're gonna do for the hip is gonna help to improve this hip flexion. But it does have to be said that as much as mobility is important, like I said at the start of the video, it's also about having the strength to utilize that mobility as good as you can. And of course, on a Sunday morning at like 7 a.m, I've come here to record this video and there's people everywhere with dogs. So that's gonna be pretty fun. Okay, the next thing is internal and external rotation of the hips. So without getting too deep into the weeds, all I want you to try and do is do the 90-90 position. Okay, if you can hold this in the air without flexing and squirming and worming and being able to keep the knees on the ground on both sides, that's usually a pretty good marker that you have good enough mobility. You know, a couple of months ago, I couldn't actually do this on this side. I would just fall over. I don't know if I have any video evidence of it, but I used to just fall over. And so once again, these ones are pretty easy. All you have to do is just hold these positions. Okay, if you want, you can start to lean forward, add a little bit more glute muscular involvement, or you can just keep swapping like this and really work on that hip mobility. You know, it's so important that even though you're not utilizing these ranges of motion during your running, they're really good for prevention of really tight hip muscles, really tight groins, which can start to manifest in some pretty fucking horrible pain. Yeah, the next one is hamstring mobility. Okay, how much hamstring mobility do you have? You know, this is really important to be able to kick your leg out in front in an efficient manner. Okay, hamstrings take a lot of load when you first hit the ground. So we're gonna go on our back. We're gonna take our hands around the knee like this, straighten our arms, okay? And we're gonna see if we can kick this straight into the air. That's a good check. If you can kick straight into the air like that without issues, then your hamstrings are mobile enough to have an efficient running style. Now, if you don't, here's what you do. So it's just pretty straightforward. All we're gonna do is take our foot into like a lunge position like this. And we're gonna use our toes to just wiggle along until we start to feel that hamstring tightening up. And then all we're gonna do is just lean into it. Oh, holy moly, this is good. Now, think about this, right? When you're at your desk job, you're sitting on your hamstrings all day long. They're probably not getting adequate blood flow. They're probably gonna tighten up over time. And if we're not doing something in our extracurricular activities that improves blood flow and gets these nice and stretched out, then our hamstrings are gonna continue getting tighter and tighter and tighter, which is gonna impact our posture and our ability to actually run when we get older. Wiggle those toes. Now, if you're a smart cookie, you've probably realized that a lot of these involve some sort of lunge position, and that is really important. It means that you can work on 4 or 5 different dysfunctions all in the same position. It just makes it really efficient. Okay, now the thoracic spine. A lot of people don't really think about the thoracic spine, but think about this. Inside your thoracic spine and your ribs are lungs, okay? And if we don't have full mobility of our thoracic spine, it's going to impact our lungs and the way that we move our arms. And, you know, people spend a lot of time thinking about how their arms move when they're running and keeping them in a certain position. So it all adds up to inefficient running pattern. Now, if you're in this position like this, you can actually check how much extension your thoracic spine has. Okay, so you're going to take your hands off and we're going to lift up like this to actually check how much thoracic extension we have. Now, this here would be about 10 degrees, 20, 30, 40, 50, and I actually think that anything around this area is going to be really good. If you can't even get past here, oh my god, birds. So if you can get to this 40-ish degree angle, then that's usually a pretty good mark. And if you can't, well, you can start to do some cobra stretches like this. You can also do pulses of this exercise to actively improve your thoracic extension. I do these ones all the time. Now, what most people don't realize is that it's not just the extension that is important for the thoracic spine, it's also the rotation, okay? So here's how you check. Once again, you get yourself in this position, you lock your hands together, okay? And you can rotate as far as you can to see how much rotation you actually have. This is 0, yeah? And 90 would be, I can't even get there. I can get to 80 pretty comfortably. So that's about 80. And that's about 80. If you're pretty good with that, then you're all good. But if you're not, then do this. So we're gonna be on all fours, okay? Hand behind the head. We're gonna go down and up, down and up. Now keep this arm straight, okay? If you're bending it, then that's just cheating. And I hate people that cheat. So don't cheat. This one is so good. It just feels fantastic. All right, onto the feet. Yeah. So, the feet, okay? Very important for running. How mobile do they have to be though, exactly? So you should be able to, without lifting the heel off the ground, you should be able to bring this at least 10 centimeters in front of the toe. So the knee should be 10 centimeters in front of the toe before this lifts off the ground. If you can do that, then you have enough mobility in your ankle to run very efficiently. If you don't, then you're gonna have to work on this for sure. Now you can start with some calf stretching, but I personally find that the best way to improve calf mobility is by doing very heavy weighted calf exercises. You know, there's not really a shortcut or mobility thing for calves, in my opinion, and in my experience as a physio. People just don't improve their range of motion with calf stretching. I don't know why. It just seems to be this weird phenomenon, okay? The only way to improve your calf range of motion is by doing deep calf raises off a step. So letting the heel come all the way down and then pulling all the way back up. Now, I could talk about the big toe because I think the big toe has a big role in how you actually move, but I think I'm gonna save that for a whole video on its own. So stay tuned for that. If you guys have any other mobility issues that you have, let me know in the comments below and I'll try and cover that in another video at some point. But enjoy your Sunday, get around it, get that training volume up, start smashing it, start stretching, get out of the car, get off the desk, move more, feel better. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, Q&A Monday. Let's go. And if you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, leave a dislike. And if you really hated this video, leave a like. Peace out.